As the sun set, long shadows stretched across Sunset Strip. The palm trees swayed gently in the warm California breeze, their silhouettes etched against the twilight sky. The calm of this August evening in 1989 was abruptly broken by the shrill sound of sirens. At 722 North Elm Drive, nestled in the opulence of Beverly Hills, a scene more chilling than any Hollywood thriller was unfolding. Within the luxurious confines of a Spanish-style mansion, a gruesome discovery awaited the authorities. Jose and Kitty Menendez, a prominent entertainment executive, and his wife were found dead, their bodies riddled with bullets. The Menendez case quickly transcended local news, exploding into a media sensation that captivated the nation. Cameras camped outside the courthouse, hungry for any glimpse of the brothers. Talk shows buzzed with speculation and analysis. The case had all the ingredients of a Hollywood thriller: wealth, privilege, deep dark family secrets, and a brutal double murder. Lyle and Eric, thrust into the harsh glare of the spotlight, became unlikely celebrities. The Menendez brothers' case wasn't just a legal battle, it was a moral and societal puzzle. It forced America to confront uncomfortable questions about family dynamics, the long-lasting impact of abuse, and the limits of self-defense. Were Lyle and Eric cold-blooded killers driven by greed, or victims driven to a desperate act after years of alleged abuse? The case ignited fierce debates across living rooms and dinner tables, fueling discussions about wealth and privilege, justice and forgiveness. Their story, a tangled web of family secrets, alleged abuse, and ultimately murder, continues to resonate today. To the outside world, the Menendez family seemed to have it all. They resided in a sprawling Beverly Hills mansion, a symbol of their success and affluence. Jose, a self-made millionaire, had achieved the American dream, rising from humble beginnings to become a powerful entertainment executive. Kitty, his wife, was the epitome of elegance and grace, a constant presence at her husband's side at lavish Hollywood parties and charity events. Their sons, Lyle and Eric, were the beneficiaries of their parents' hard work and ambition. But behind the facade of wealth and success, a darker, more complex reality was hidden. The Menendez family wasn't a Norman Rockwell painting. It was a portrait marred by imperfections and hidden cracks. Jose, a driven and demanding patriarch, cast a long shadow over his family. His expectations were high, his criticisms often harsh, leaving his sons feeling trapped beneath the weight of his judgment. Kitty, caught between her husband's domineering personality and her son's growing resentment, seemed unable or unwilling to shield her children from their father's wrath. As the boys grew older, the cracks in the family facade widened. In the aftermath of the murders, whispers of a darker secret began to emerge. Friends of the brothers recounted disturbing stories of alleged abuse, painting a chilling picture of a household ruled by fear and control. Lyle and Eric, they claimed, had suffered years of physical, emotional, and even sexual abuse at the hands of their father. These allegations, shocking in their brutality, painted a starkly different portrait of the Menendez family. The seemingly perfect facade crumbled, revealing a toxic environment where abuse was allegedly masked by wealth and privilege. The Menendez brothers' trial wasn't just a legal proceeding, it was a media spectacle, a real-life courtroom drama that captivated the nation. Cameras swarmed the courthouse, their lenses hungry for any glimpse of the brothers. Inside, the atmosphere crackled with tension. The prosecution, led by Deputy District Attorney Pamela Bozanic, presented a cold and calculated case, arguing that Lyle and Eric had murdered their parents in cold blood, driven by greed. They painted the brothers as spoiled, entitled brats, more concerned with maintaining their lavish lifestyle than with the loss of their parents. The defense, however, countered with a starkly different narrative, one of abuse, fear, and desperation. Leslie Abramson, Eric's lead attorney, argued that the brothers had acted in self-defense, driven to a desperate act after years of suffering at the hands of their abusive father. Abramson painted a harrowing picture of the Menendez household, a place where Jose's tyranny reigned supreme. She argued that Lyle and Eric, trapped in a cycle of abuse, had finally reached their breaking point, resorting to the unthinkable as their only means of escape. The courtroom became a battleground of competing narratives, each side presenting its version of the truth. As the trial progressed, the nation watched, captivated, as the drama unfolded, the lines between victim and perpetrator blurring with each piece of evidence presented. The prosecution sought to prove premeditation, to convince the jury that Lyle and Eric had planned their parents' murders, motivated by greed. The defense focused on the brothers' state of mind, calling expert witnesses to testify about the long-term psychological effects of abuse. They argued that Lyle and Eric, traumatized and terrified, had acted impulsively, driven by fear, not greed. The jury faced an agonizing decision, tasked with sifting through the conflicting narratives and mountains of evidence. After weeks of testimony, the jury reached a verdict: guilty. Lyle and Eric Menendez were convicted of first-degree murder in the deaths of their parents. The courtroom erupted in gasps, the brothers' faces a mask of shock and disbelief. The case, which had divided the nation, sparked fierce debates about wealth and privilege, abuse and accountability. The Menendez brothers, once symbols of youthful affluence, were now convicted murderers, destined to spend the rest of their lives behind bars. The Menendez brothers' case, despite its seemingly definitive conclusion, continued to cast a long shadow. The image of Lyle and Eric, those privileged young men convicted of a brutal double murder, remained etched in the public consciousness. Their story, a twisted tapestry woven from wealth, violence, and alleged abuse, refused to fade quietly into the annals of true crime history. Years passed, yet the questions lingered. Were Lyle and Eric truly the cold-blooded killers the prosecution portrayed them to be? Or were they victims driven to a desperate act by years of unimaginable trauma? New evidence emerged, casting the Menendez brothers' story in a fresh, unsettling light. It began with a trickle, a handful of individuals stepping forward, their voices hesitant at first, their stories echoing the horrors Lyle and Eric had described during their trials. These were not strangers seeking fleeting fame, but individuals whose lives had intersected with the Menendez family. There was the former girlfriend of Lyle Menendez, who recounted his chilling confessions of abuse. There were family friends who recalled witnessing Jose Menendez's controlling behavior and volatile temper. And then there was Roy Rosello, who revealed he too had been sexually abused by Jose Menendez, corroborating the brothers' claims and lending credence to their long-dismissed allegations. The emergence of new evidence and corroborating accounts of abuse raised a profound question. Had a miscarriage of justice occurred? Had the Menendez brothers, vilified by the media, been denied a fair chance to present their case? Legal experts began to question the fairness of the original trials. They argued that the limitations on the defense had prejudiced the jury. The case was thrust back into the spotlight, sparking debates and shifting public perception. The new evidence demanded a reassessment of the case, a re-evaluation of the evidence, and a renewed commitment to seeking justice for all involved. The emergence of new evidence supporting the Menendez brothers' claims of abuse ignited a firestorm of debate. The foundation of their conviction seemed to crumble under these revelations. The question was no longer whether they pulled the trigger, but what drove them to that act. The possibility of a pardon now echoed through the halls of justice, sparking heated discussions. Could the brothers be forgiven if they were victims driven to a desperate act by trauma? As the debate raged on, legal experts delved into the annals of jurisprudence, seeking precedents, guidelines, to navigate the uncharted waters of the Menendez brothers' case. The question of whether a history of abuse could justify, or at the very least mitigate, a violent crime was not without precedent. The case of Lorena Bobbitt, who in 1993 severed her husband's penis after years of alleged abuse, loomed large in the public consciousness. Bobbitt's acquittal by reason of temporary insanity, a legal victory that acknowledged the profound psychological impact of abuse, set a powerful precedent. challenging traditional notions of self-defense and forcing the legal system to grapple with the complexities of domestic violence. The Menendez brothers case, while distinct in its details, resonated with the Bobbitt case in its exploration of the limits of self-defense, the recognition of the devastating impact of abuse, and the potential for legal outcomes to reflect a nuanced understanding of these complex issues. The question was whether the legal system, often criticized for its rigid adherence to precedent and its reluctance to consider mitigating factors like abuse, was ready to apply these principles to the Menendez brothers, whose case had been tried and decided in a different era under a harsher legal lens. The possibility of the Menendez brothers' release ignited fears of setting a dangerous precedent. Critics argued that leniency would send a message that violence could be justified by claims of abuse. Others argued that justice demanded a reassessment of the case in light of new evidence. The debate forced individuals to confront their beliefs about justice, forgiveness, and humanity. It reflected the complexities of a society grappling with its past, present, and hopes for a more just future. The Menendez brothers' case, despite decades of legal battles, media scrutiny, and public debate, remains shrouded in a chilling mist of unanswered questions. Did the abuse they endured justify their actions, or were they driven by a sinister blend of entitlement and greed? Were they victims seeking a desperate escape from a living nightmare, or were they cunning manipulators who exploited a tragedy for personal gain? The emergence of new evidence, corroborating their claims of abuse, has only deepened the mystery, casting doubt on the narrative that led to their convictions. It has forced a reassessment of their motives, their state of mind, and ultimately, the very nature of justice itself. Can we, with the benefit of hindsight and a deeper understanding of the dynamics of abuse, truly say that justice was served? The Menendez brothers' story is a stark reminder that truth is often elusive, a mosaic of perspectives, interpretations, and experiences. It challenges us to confront our own biases, our preconceived notions of guilt and innocence, victim and perpetrator. It compels us to grapple with the uncomfortable reality that sometimes the lines are blurred, the boundaries indistinct, and the answers far from clear-cut. The Menendez brothers' case transcends the confines of a courtroom drama, becoming a parable about the enduring power of truth, its ability to shatter facades, to challenge our perceptions, and to demand a reckoning. It compels us to ask ourselves, what is the price of truth, and what are we willing to sacrifice in its pursuit? Are we, as a society, willing to confront the uncomfortable possibility that we may have gotten it wrong? Can we, despite the passage of time, the finality of a guilty verdict, summon the courage to re-examine the evidence, to listen to the voices that were silenced, to seek justice, even if it means admitting that we failed to deliver it in the first place? The Menendez brothers' story, though rooted in tragedy and despair, also carries a glimmer of hope. It reminds us that even in the darkest of times, even within the unforgiving walls of a prison cell, the human spirit yearns for redemption, for a chance to confront the past, to atone for one's actions, and to find a measure of peace. The Menendez brothers' case, even as it fades from the headlines, leaves an indelible mark on our collective consciousness. It serves as a cautionary tale about the devastating impact of abuse, the complexities of family dynamics, and the importance of seeking justice for all involved, regardless of their perceived guilt or innocence. It challenges us to re-examine our assumptions about wealth and privilege, to acknowledge that darkness can lurk behind even the most polished facades, and that the pursuit of the American dream can come at a terrible cost. It reminds us that justice is not a destination, but a journey, a constant striving for fairness, accountability, and compassion. The Menendez brothers' story, with its twists and turns, its heart-wrenching tragedies, and its lingering uncertainties, will continue to fascinate, to haunt, and to challenge us for generations to come. It is a story that defies easy answers, a story that forces us to confront the darkest aspects of human nature, while reminding us of the enduring power of hope, the possibility of redemption, and the importance of never giving up on the pursuit of truth.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.